Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doomtombpodcast. Today, we have a great interview. But first, I have to make a correction. Back in episode 2, I was talking with this band, Wolves of Winter, and they have a release for their album out on No Slip Records. And they have some really quality vinyl, different colors and splatter designs, and not just Wolves of Winter, but other acts as well. Well, I made a mistake, and I said that a certain artist was on that record label when really they're not. Book of Worms is on Twin Earth Records, not No Slip Records. They're on Twin Earth. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I do sincerely apologize to No Slip, Twin Earth, and Book of Worms. I meant no harm. I wanted to just explain what was out there, and I was wrong. I apologize. So I hope you take that as my apology, and I guess we can move on from there. Sorry, everyone, and I will try not to let it happen again. Today on the podcast, we have OFA, otherwise known as Old Fashioned Assassin, and they are based out of Arizona, and I have an exclusive. I have one of their new tracks from their upcoming release. And once you hear it, you're going to want to get on social media and follow them as fast as you can. It's a great track, and we'll play that a little later. But if you haven't heard of OFA, this is a good chance to get to know them and to get to hear what they're about. And hopefully they'll be touring around the country sometime in 2018. I know they do a lot in Arizona, and they are just a band to look out for. Going to shows over the years, I remember going to a show with Hatebreed as the headliner, and one of the opening acts was After the Burial, and now coming all these years later, After the Burial is the headliner. So you never know who is going to be the next big thing, and it just is like a testament to why you should just go early every once in a while. Check out the opening bands, because you never know who's going to be the next big act. All right, I think I've talked enough about that, so I think it's time. Let's get going with the interview with OFA. So when I was talking to Wolves of Winter, there was a question, and it kind of posed something for you, Derek. And the question was, how can people conduct their lives while they're high on drugs? Or how can they go through life being high so much? And you said you had a story about that?
It's funny because I listened to your podcast, and I remember this question, him posing that question.
Right.
I didn't know if we were going to end up getting that question or not, but it's funny because it made me think of a time I used to play in like a house party, Black Sabbath cover band, and it was all for fun, but we would practice at there's a guitar building school here in Phoenix.
Right.
That I went to in like 2006. And at the end of the day, the students and the teachers would filter out, and then we would kind of load in and do our little Black Sabbath practice. And some of the teachers, as they're trickling out, they see us kind of baking up and getting high and stuff. And one of them was like, "How do you guys play when you're so high?"
Right.
And the drummer Don looked at him. He was just like, "Really well."
Really? Well, if you heard the interview, you heard Miles from Red Wizard talking, and he was like, essentially, if you're going to smoke or whatever, it kind of impedes your life. It gets you lazy unless you have an outlet, unless you're trying to be creative. Then there's a lot more avenues to go through. Like, have you ever done it? Have you ever done anything where any of you ever smoked? Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we introduce everybody first and what you play?
So I'm Derek Davis. I play guitar in Old Fashioned Assassin.
All right.
I'm Kyle Eads. I play drums in Old-fashioned assassin.
I am old-fashioned assassin. No, I play bass in old-fashioned assassin and vocals.
Essentially, you are the carrier of the torch.
Name's Mike though.
Mike has the mic, and he's in Old Fashioned Assassins. That's who we're here with, Old Fashioned Assassin. And I guess the first question that everybody wants to know is, how did you get started?
Our story is actually a really long one. We've all known each other for a long time, since I guess 15. Me and Mike go back a little longer than that.
Junior high.
We knew each other before instruments
Right.
became a thing in our lives, and then we learned how to play our instruments together. And Old Fashioned Assassin was our high school band. So this is kind of, in a way, a resurgence. We, came together to play music again, and we battled with maybe what we should name it.
Right.
And we decided, that let's just use the old name. We enjoyed what we were doing back then. And
Were there any other band members before the three of you?
Yeah, there were a multiple amount. We started with a lineup of 4 with Derek on guitar. We had Adam. We called him Fro, also known as Fro. He was on lead guitar. I played bass. And we had Brandon Josefovich on drums.
Mm-hmm.
And Fro sang at the time. And it was enough to get the juices going, to get the gears turning on what we wanted to do. And over time, we ended up getting Stefan, which was Brandon's brother. He stepped in as lead vocals. So we were a 5-piece band at that point.
Right.
Really just like into Iron Maiden and thrash and just rocking high school. We were like one of the top bands in high school then. Everybody,
Right.
Everybody saw us. And,
Doing the talent shows and stuff?
Yeah, just rocking the AIDS benefit and doing things like that. And then after a good, 4 years, 4 years, Brandon and Stefan stepped out, and we were without a drummer and a singer. Mm-hmm. So Fro kind of stepped back up into the vocals, and we ended up getting another drummer. His name was Austin Bowler, and when he joined the band, he was 19, and he was a little.
this is all after high school.
Yeah, this is all after high school. Like fast forwarding.
I would hope if he's 19, he's out of high school.
Like
by now.
essentially, the band's been around since 2003, technically.
Okay.
This is like 2008 right now.
Yeah.
So that's some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube, because I've looked it up and I've seen
there's
some
old
people, and I'm like, that's not the old-fashioned assassin I know.
And there's a lot of songs that we wrote back then that I don't know if you can dig them up on the internet. I think, maybe MySpace, if that's still an option to find songs on there. I think SoundCloud went under, so it's not like you can find anything.
SoundCloud's still up.
Oh, well, then you might be able to find some of the older stuff we recorded. We did like 3 Maiden songs.
What'd you do?
We did Rat Child,
Mm-hmm.
The Trooper, and then we kind of did this fusion of Phantom of the Opera with Rat Child and Aces High. Yeah.
We called it Rat Child of the Opera.
Have you heard Electric West? They did a cover of Murders in Rue Morgue.
The Rue Morgue?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, they did a split with Lords of Beacon House. You got to check it out.
Yeah, we've gotten to play with them twice now.
Yeah.
And, they're really, really great dudes. Like, first time we met them, they walked up to us and gave us a case of beer. We're just like, hey, you guys are Old-Fashioned Assassin, right? We got some extra beer here. You guys want it? So...
this time I'm sure it was different because I know that he was in the middle of a shotgun challenge. So he was probably holding them. When I met them a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Yeah, man, I got like 5-6 beers left. I got to kill it tonight. I really got to destroy."
Yeah, those tour challenges can be draining. I know you set yourself up for something, and then it's hard to follow through, but he does it. So, or he did it. I know what was it? How many beers did he have to drink? And
well, he had to drink at least 5.
Right.
But I don't know if there might have been a few more.
Right.
I'm not sure. That's up to him. So, Mike, you were talking about Maiden. Do you have some favorite standout tracks or something like a deeper cut that maybe someday the three of you might do a cover of or something?
I mean, that's asking a lot out of a 3-piece, you know. Or I mean, we took advantage of the Maiden because we had the 2 guitarists that could bring it to the table, the harmonizing and the leads and the dueling, just back and forth.
Yep.
But you know, I love a lot of Maiden. Obviously, maybe not so much the newer stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's all just like it's the generic Maiden. It's just, you know, galloping and fucking leads and Bruce Dickinson wailing the fuck away. And
are you more of Dickinson or more Di'Anno?
Definitely Dickinson. I mean, I don't know if anybody is Di'Anno, you know, but those songs are great. You know, the songs are fucking great. Like,
I mean, Killers was fantastic. What got?
But I don't think anyone's wishing that like Di'Anno would
come back
or.
What was your turning point? Like, what was the album that you saw or heard from Maiden that made you fall in love with them?
Definitely one of those Di'Anno albums. I think. Fuck. I guess it would have to be a cross off between Killers and the self-titled, but I mean, like, yeah, and I mean, Prowler and Sanctuary and all that early shit, just really fucking raw Maiden, booming ass Steve Harris. Like,
so that's what you got to do. You got to channel some Steve Harris.
And I mean, when I was first starting bass, Steve Harris, Cliff Burton, Geezer Butler, those were my like top 3. So I was just plowing through those tablature. And
so am I going to hear you breaking out some anesthesia, pulling teeth anytime soon?
Yeah, dude. I mean, all the time. It's just it's hard to live up to those heroes, you know. Right. But I think that's what we're all trying to do is just get that good. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's way better than you.
Of course. You know. You hear anesthesia, and I swear, maybe you guys could elaborate on it, but I swear I hear like that fuzzy tone of that stoner doom sound.
Oh yeah,
way before.
Yeah, he was definitely like a Jimi Hendrix-esque musician. I mean, he's way ahead of his time, and to think that, you know, if for some reason he didn't die and, you know, he was still in the picture with Metallica is, I mean, possibilities are endless. He was the one that was pushing James and Lars to keep that sound going. Right. And it's not like they went to shit without him, but you kind of see like...
You see differences. Well, have you heard the And Justice for All when they went... I don't remember who did it. I saw it on YouTube when they added the bass.
Yeah, it sounded fucking weird.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Newsted had his time in there, and Trujillo has been ripping it up, and I think it's a great addition.
Totally. And Trujillo is a fucking amazing bassist, and I think, you know, if anybody was gonna try to fill those boots, it was definitely him, tenfold, you know, over. But
now, what do you think? Because what would you guys classify your music as?
Stoner metal.
Stoner rock. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we fall inside of that stoner rock category.
Because
I don't really think that we're like heavy on like the metal. I don't know. I mean, we play shows with metal bands and we love metal, but I feel like we like to throw in more than just one rip and solo. Like we like to rock and roll a little bit. So.
And you could totally see it on stage. I mean, I gotta tell this quick story. So it was coming up on a year now. And I've mentioned this before, and it seems kind of weird. I had some health issues, and it kept me away from one of my great loves, which is music. And one of the first shows I got to see coming back from my health scare was this show at Yucca. And I was at home, and I was just on YouTube trying to find some stoner bands that I would like to see one day, and I caught this band, Stone Witch, and I don't even know how I fell into I was in some kind of YouTube hell and found them. And I started listening. I really liked it. And then I saw that they were going to be playing at Yucca. And I was like, cool. I can't wait to check them out. And I got there and found out that they canceled. They weren't able to be there. And somebody else filled in for them. It was by far one of the most epic nights that I have seen at Yucca this year. And you guys were the openers. And how much time did you have to prepare for that gig?
I literally feel like...
Mothership?
Yeah, that was the Mothership show. It was, so get this. So it was, for the people that don't know, it was you guys, it was Dead Canyon, which I can't wait to have on the podcast. It was Wolves of Winter, Great Electric Quest, and the Mighty Mothership that got to play a full fucking set.
Yeah, I saw Mothership.
Yeah.
Like a week. I won't say it was like a week, less than a week notice.
Yeah, it was really short notice, but I'm a fan of Mothership. They're definitely one of like the top 2017 bands that I paid attention to and
That's been like our
followed.
part this year. It was like just jumping on shows like that, like within the last week. Because it's twice it's been like Stonewitch,
right?
Which is hilarious. But like that was our thing this year. Is just that's why we played so many shows. Because we tried not to play so many like around like September, October. We talked about chilling out and finishing the record.
What was the other show that you filled in for? Do you remember?
Was it the
Black Pussy?
Yeah, that was a quick fill in.
That might have been last year, though.
And then Yucca just kind of started being like, "Hey, do you guys want to play this one? Because this band canceled." And we're like, "Yeah, we'll do it."
I think that's...
But it shows something for you guys as a band is you could throw something together and like nobody's going to know, and it just destroys.
Yeah.
Like at a moment's notice, and that's one of the great parts of this trio here. Is you can put it together and just destroy it, and I think that is phenomenal. And one of the reasons I also bring up that date was that was the first time I saw you, and the last time I saw you guys was at this place called the Timeout Lounge, and I cannot believe the difference in the tightness and how more. It almost seems like you guys are so much more at ease now, and filling all the blanks of space on the stage and just enjoying yourselves and just feeding off of one another. And I don't know how much, when you're on stage, how much is improvised, or do you just follow the straight song?
I mean, it's all started coming together as we wrote like this first record that's going to come out here shortly. We were like, let's play some shows so we can work out the live kinks and kind of make it seem natural, so that when we do release this thing, it's not like we're playing some of our first shows and we kind of look green, And as we started playing these shows, I mean, people were responding and liked seeing us. You were one of them, and I mean, we appreciate that, and
I mean, we're all seasoned in our own way, like. Derek playing with Scattered Guts and with Toad right now, but
right.
We and Kyle's played in multiple punk bands, some at the same time. But I mean, we've all played a generous amount of shows, and I think we have a blast when we're playing OFA shows. And as far as like feeding, I mean, I feel I totally feed off the crowd. In that I think that's contagious, like as far as these guys too. But if maybe it's not that big of a show, I think I feed off to this guy right here, Derek. I mean, he's he's pretty crazy on stage and pouring beer on himself and throwing his guitar around and just making it a show. And
well, I saw that because you played another show that. Honestly, I went to see you guys, and I didn't know the rest of the acts. And when I saw the rest of the acts, I was like, I do not know how you're going to fit in with this crowd. And I don't know if you remember the show. It was with the Goddamn Gallows.
Oh, yeah.
So there was an Irish band.
Kyle's familiar with that
and then,
band more than...
Yeah, I actually played with them in an old band, Whiskey in the Barrels, like a few years ago.
Right.
When they started like making the Yucca a regular stop in town. So it was pretty cool to play with them another band that's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum music wise. So
it's really cool to see because I don't even know how to classify them with like a psychobilly kind of vibe, big stand up bass, It almost looks. I almost feel like they would be playing in the background of like House of a Thousand Corpses or something. I can't quite figure it out, but I know I enjoyed it. But the thing was like just watching the crowd. That I know the crowd that was there for Goddamn Gallows.
I think we got a good
but then
reaction.
You come on, and within a minute, everybody's turning their heads and like, oh, who is this? We got to see who this is. And the crowd response was great that night. It was really killer.
No, that was a weird show too, because it was like it was kind of a mixed genre there.
That was
right.
another one of those kind of like.
It's
because we were jumping on these shows and being available that the Yucca kind of took notice to us, and then I think, not to break down the facade or the wall of how people get on shows, but like I think the Goddamn Gallows requested someone that's not like them,
right.
Something a little different to open. And Ben Talti at Yucca hit us up and we're like, hey, do you want to play the Goddamn Gallows show? Kyle, being familiar with them and having played with them before, was like, I mean, that we'll play for a lot of people who would not normally see us in the genre and scene that we're going to normally play. So
absolutely.
It was a good opportunity, and I think we met a lot of cool people there. So
now, you were talking before that Kyle has been in some punk bands. Yeah. What do you have some major punk influence?
I think we all do. Like, that's an even longer story with another band from around here that used to be a band called Rotten Youth.
Right.
We all kind of got raised on. But I kind of took to the punk more, punk and oi, stuff like that. Like, rock and roll's like, it lives deep, but like, I don't know. Some days I'd rather listen to GBH than The Sword,
Does your punk influence dictate how you set up your kit?
Not really. I mean, I play on such a small kit already. It's only like a 4-piece.
Right.
Like, got like 2 cymbals and my hi-hats. I might lower the ride a little bit if I'm playing with the other band.
Yeah.
Just for a little faster movement, but not necessarily.
Okay.
It's all pretty much the same for both bands.
And Mike, we were talking about the bass before. What do you think about this new? Well, I don't know how new it is, but like I see a lot of doom duos, and even like there was a black metal band that I've seen recently. They have 2 basses, no guitar, and then
Sorks.
Does Sorks have that too? Because I was talking about.
I hear people call him Sorksy, but I call him.
I know who it is.
I don't.
Sorxe.
Yeah, they have 2 bass players.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I was. There's a band out here called Ceramented.
Oh, I haven't heard of
that. And they have like a lot of Native American. Like we were talking about another band, 6 Million Dead, and they have a ceremony ritual in the beginning where they burn some sage, and you really feel like you're coming into the tribe as they scream their heads off and to some like brutal black metal. But my question is like, why do you have an idea of why it used to be just drums and guitar, and now people are utilizing the bass, like a band like you or the Cobra?
Right. I think a huge part of that is probably just messing with the tones. I mean, bass just classically, in earlier music was just, pretty much just whatever you were getting through it, and there's little to no distortion. It was really clean, and as you start to fuck with the tones and add in distortion or a chorus or a fuzz pedal or a wah even, you start to make your bass sound a little more like guitar. And what was that band? Face the Flames, right?
Yep.
They're a
2-piece.
Yeah, bass drum duo. When Kyle and I were watching them for the first time, we were like, we do that on a daily basis. We just start a band, dude. Like, I think we're starting to get to that point where there's no limit to what people feel like. Nobody's in a box as far as what a band should be.
Right.
Everybody's trying to find, something new, something different. And it's hard because, everybody's doing everything. And, it's like if you went back in time and started playing Paranoid before Black Sabbath did, like you'd be the first one sounding like that. But,
true.
But, as more and more bands are coming out every day and every year, and all those styles and new things are getting taken up, and this guy just went to the Psycho Fest last show, and he was telling me about Zeal and Ardor, right? Yeah. And they're kind of like this crazy, like what were we calling them? They're like a
on their own Facebook, they call themselves American Slave. So when I describe them as that, it's not my own personal
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's this weird like satanic slave music that like has like chains dropping and keeping like this slow beat. And normally, I don't really like a lot of like satanic stuff. I mean, there's always exceptions. I like Merciful Fate and
Don't Break the Oath.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to go see some Christian band, shove Jesus down my throat.
Right.
So, and I don't really like seeing satanic bands shove Satan down my throat either. Like, I like to have fun and rock and roll and ride the riff and the music, and preaching's preaching, whether it's
whatever
God
it is,
or the devil to me. So
with the, because we're right in the holiday season right now. So have you ever heard King Diamond? No presents this Christmas?
No. I haven't heard
really?
that particular track.
Oh my God. Check it out. YouTube it, whatever, buy it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the end of the song. Especially, you're all Sabbath fans, right?
Yeah.
Then you'll be pleased to hear it. You got to at least check it out once.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it. So, what else? What do we have going on regarding the new release?
So we recorded it with Joe Aslin at Switchblade Audio. Switchblade Sound. He's like a really good friend. He's the front of house guy at the Marquee Theater.
Right.
I think he has been for like 10 years.
Plays bass in Sanitation Squad.
Yeah, bass player for Sanitation Squad. Really good friend. The whole recording process has been and was like really great and natural, and felt like it should.
Do you all play it live, or do you do each track individually and blend it together?
No, we did my drums in like a day and a half, I think, and then we got the drums and the bass done first, and then we just kind of went about it traditionally.
Right.
Derek did his rhythms, did his leads, and Mike's sang a little bit, and I don't want to say tonight, but we can say tonight. It should be getting finished up with Joe and going into mastering sometime in January. And
oh, that's fantastic.
I really just got an email today,
right,
from him about those tracks, but we also dabbled with a click track for the first time.
Sure.
During recording, which if any bands listening out there, you know how it is the first time you experience a click track during recording. It's a learning curve, but I mean, after you get it and you start getting the hang of it, you feel way better about your recording and timing and. But
that was another thing that Joe was like really easy to work with and worked with us with that click track, because like we're kind of groovy,
Yeah.
And,
a lot of time changes.
Yeah, and he was like, I think. We'll use the click track when it's necessary, but you guys kind of like...
It's like a bass almost.
Yeah, you guys ride out your own groove, and when it's not necessary, like, we don't use it. And, I mean, it doesn't sound unnatural or anything. We spent a lot of time on this record.
Right.
Because it's the foundation for us to move forward on. So we want it... I mean, it sounds really good.
And how long have you had these songs?
2 years?
Yeah, let's just
in
call
the
it
making.
2 years. 2 years in the making, yeah.
From getting back together and starting to write and getting the material ready to get in the studio and record everything, and getting the art together and coming up on the last few months of getting this release ready. I mean,
right.
It's been about a 2-year process, but
I've asked some other bands this, so I want to ask you guys, what do you think is the reason for the resurgence of vinyl?
It's a heavy question.
I mean, for me, it's not a resurgence. I kind of always had vinyl passed down from, my parents, and met people who still listen and collected vinyl and started collecting early.
You're the one that turned me onto it, like, whatever, like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, hung out with you at, like, Zia and Goodwill for a few days, and then I was out on my own.
You used to be able to find stuff at Goodwill all the time, good stuff, and now it's
probably getting snatched up right now.
Yeah, now it's all just like Ernie Ford or Tennessee Ford or
like
whatever that guy is.
What's a piece of vinyl that you have that you're really proud of?
First thing that popped in my head was this business record that I got signed by Mickey Fitz. Unfortunately, before he passed away, what was that, a year or two ago?
I think a year ago.
But yeah, they had come to the Yucca, and I brought it and kind of held it up while they were playing. And he signed it for me, and it was really cool. I mean, I have a couple signed records that are like prized possessions.
What's like the last one you got though? That was like, yes, like you see it, you're scanning.
Stoked, your heart.
You see it, and you're like, I have to have that. Like, you don't care how much it is. And
I just got the Neil Young Decade 3 LP from Bookman's, and it was like really good condition. Like anytime you see that, it's beat up and expensive.
Yep.
And this was like mint vinyl. Like, I couldn't believe it.
You really lucked out.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're passionate about vinyl. Will you be releasing the latest release in vinyl?
That's ultimately our goal.
Right.
After we get these tracks mastered and everything, we're getting them mastered for vinyl. We'll be releasing the tracks online, and trying a few of the tracks, and trying to get a music video going. Maybe a couple.
Right.
But for the most part, that's ultimately our goal, is to get a vinyl. And that's something, at the end of the day, if worse comes to worse, and for some reason, like, something happened and OFA was no more, at least we got our fucking names on vinyl. And I could die fucking happy after that. But, I mean, I think we're in it for the long haul, and we want to get as much as we can out of this band and give as much as we can at the same time.
And I want to get back to the latest release, but I want to ask you first, because you just reminded me of something. So just in research, you see there's all these different Doom Fests over, whether it's Maryland, Doom Fest, Psycho, et cetera. Is that something that you look forward to playing in the future?
I've fantasized about it. I know there's like the Desert Fest in Europe, right? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
But Psycho Fest I've been to the past 2 years.
Right.
Or the Vegas version. I think that they had done some California Psycho. But since it's been in Vegas, I went the past 2 years, and it was like, it felt like, that first year it was like, we could fit into this. This is what's happening right now. Like, it's kind of what we're trying to do.
It's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like we still have our own unique sound, and I mean, me and Mike like learned how to play guitar together, 15 years ago now. So, like, his style to me is like, I know where he's going when he writes stuff, and it's kind of like odd and tricky, but like, I get how his mind works a little bit. So it's easier, I think, for me as a guitar player to like blend with him and he pulls that Steve Harris type role in this band. He writes a lot of the music and the riffs.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we would be perfect for, the pool at Psycho Fest or
there you go. Get your tickets now before they're out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who that guy's name is, but
let's throw it out there.
Maybe one day.
If you're listening, Old Fashioned Assassin, 2018, Psycho Las Vegas.
Yeah, we just go for a free weekend pass and a buffet dinner every night.
How can you beat it?
I'll suck your dick, man.
So let's get back to the tracks. Talk to me about them. What do you got?
So it's 5 tracks.
5 tracks, about 30 minutes, maybe just under 30 minutes in length. I think it's a good sum up of our genre, but still, you can kind of tell that we're just still trying to find our sound,
right?
As a whole, and I think, you know, towards the end there, like you can tell on Patient 67 and what's the other one? Dead Time Lost and things like that. Like you can just tell that we started to get our sound and kind of have an idea where we're going to be going.
What's some of the subject matter? Because Mike, are you the main lyricist, or is it a group effort?
Yeah, the main one. I try to force these guys to put a little more in lyric-wise, because I mean it's a lot when you're, you know, you're trying to structure a song, and I'm trying to put my bass parts together, and I'm trying to think like, you know, you're writing the whole fucking song,
right?
And I want these guys to be incorporated, and I don't want to just show them how to play a song. I want us to write a song together. And with this last track that, you know, sadly won't be on the recording, that we just collaborated on, I think it's one of the best ones we have. And that was, you know, it's got some riffs from Derek and some riffs from me.
Right.
And, you know, the vocals flow real well with it, and Kyle's supplying the beats as he always does. And I mean, we have a good idea, good idea of going, of where we're going to.
Is that the one that I heard?
Yeah, at the timeout.
Yeah.
And
I think you said that you didn't have a title for it yet.
Yeah, no title. That's how fresh it is. And I mean, like, even the lyrics that I sung at that show, I kind of just slapped together to kind of fit that melody that I was kind of thinking of to go with it.
Right.
And I mean,
like this song that we're talking about won't be on the upcoming EP release.
Right.
But I mean, we're hoping after that release, you know, it's going to be first priority to get back in the studio and
I mean, you know, bands
tracks.
do it all the time. You could throw it up on Bandcamp as a one until the rest of it comes out, and
you can always come out to a show and catch it.
You can
Absolutely.
always come out. So speaking of that, what do you have on tour for the 2018 schedule?
So far, we're going to be opening for Big Business when they come through and play Yucca
Fantastic, yeah.
in March. And I think we're going to keep our calendar clear and make sure this, you know, record comes out, kind of stock some merch. You know, like I said, we wanted to get on some shows to kind of get our feet wet so that we were ready when we released this album.
Right.
And people started paying attention in that process and asking us, "Oh, do you have any music online?"
Yeah.
No, we don't. You know, do you have any shirts or merch? No, we don't yet. But
how important do you think merch is for a band?
It's
extremely.
Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah. Well, it gets your band's name out, and it gets talked about. You know, and I go to a show of wear a shirt, and somebody says, "Oh my God, who is that?" Or, "Oh, I love that band," and it's your own version of marketing without you having to do a thing.
I mean, I really like where we're at right now because I feel like the possibilities for us are really wide open right now.
Right.
And that includes, you know, going nowhere as well, you know, but we, you know, but we're laying the foundation. We have our first EP coming out, and we get to see like where this is all going to take us, you know?
Right.
So it's going to be exciting, and I think we have, you know, a good year ahead of us. 2018 is going to be great for us.
Great. Now, I don't know if you heard that in the background, but somebody just popped a can. What do we got there?
A little bit of that Red Hook IPA. It's 2 for $3.50 at Circle K.
Oh, fantastic. Get there while you can.
Deal. Yeah, killer deal.
It's an IPA?
It is an IPA.
Oh, that's fantastica. All right, so just a little switch in direction. I'm an old man. I'm an old man, as you can tell. I'm older than a lot of people in the genre. I can attest to that. And I have 0 tattoos. And I just had a birthday recently, and I've had these ideas kicking around in my head of what I want to get. And now I'm up to 4 different tattoos that I haven't gotten, but I'm in the realm of wanting to get it. Because I know once I get one, I'm going to be like, well, this arm seems a little light. I got to fill this one up, and I got to fill this one up. Do you guys have any tattoos that you want to talk about? You guys have anything special?
One tattoo in particular, I guess, is we all have matching tattoos.
Of?
Is it
on your ass or what is it?
It's all on our arm right here.
That's a special one.
You want to pull yours out? Show them.
Oh, that's badass. You guys got to put that on social media. So can you explain that?
This was kind of like the
high school years.
Yeah, the high school years, and I mean, when we were talking about the lineup, in the earlier years of OFA, when we had the 5 members, every one of us had that tattoo, and it was kind of just a staple that if you're in OFA, you get this, and it's
like a badge of honor.
Exactly, and it was also
there's 6 people total who have had this tattooed on them. And
for the people that aren't in the band anymore, it's either it's either memory or a badge of shame. The one thing that was kind of an inside joke for OFA was that if you got the name tattooed on you, that you wouldn't last in the band because everybody that actually got the name tattooed on them wasn't in the band anymore.
But I mean, Fro was the original guitar player. When we started the band back in high school, and he had passed away. It's been 5 years now.
Wow.
But that's kind of one of the things that brought us 3 back together.
Right.
And I think it's a big reason as to why we play music today together.
Really?
But he had the tattoo as well. And then, was he one of the first? Oh, no, Brandon got it first.
Brandon got it first. The only one not to get it done by Brandon.
And then you were the last to get it.
The last to get it.
But not in a bad way, because no one ever foresaw you playing drums.
Or joining the military.
You joined the military.
Yeah, I got it done after I got out, which was like almost 8 years ago now. By Brandon, the same dude who did everyone else's.
Right.
We always felt that Kyle deserved the tattoo just because he was like the roadie in a way. Like he was like the number one, like our bro who was always there for us, and hanging out. And then
you might see his news piece from high school.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
I did see that.
Videos, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so that everyone should go
if you
search
haven't
that.
Seen that? Go ahead and look that up right now. It's what is that? 2005 news piece. OFA. It's on YouTube. Go
What's the title of it so everybody can check it out?
I think
I might actually have to put a link on social media for that.
I think it says Old Fashioned Assassin News Piece 2005.
Yeah, it's something like that,
or something close to that.
That's got the old lineup, the old 5-piece.
Yeah,
right.
That was the classic lineup.
But
somewhere around here, I have.
But yeah, it was funny because when we decided, like, hey, you know what? Let's just use the name Old Fashioned Assassin again. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna care.
Right.
Or be like, hey. But it was funny because when we would play shows, and then people would be like, wait, is this the same Old Fashioned Assassin from like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So people did still kind of remember us.
Or that it was like a death metal, or that show at the Rogue. I don't remember who the fuck was there, but we totally didn't fit the bill at all, and I knew we didn't fit the bill at all when we came up, and one of the guys that put on the show was like, "Hey, you guys gonna play Aces High tonight?" And it was, I mean, we hadn't played that in fucking like 8 years,
right.
With
at the one show.
Yeah, at the one show with like, other people, and it was just, I mean, that was kind of like a thing that we always thought about was, the name and the history that came with it, but it just didn't feel right saying anything else or naming anything else, and with Furl passing away and stuff, I think we just kind of felt obligated to keep the name, and there's so much meaning behind it for us.
That's the next question. How did you come up with the name?
My brother had written me a letter. He lived in Tennessee, and I think at the end of the letter, it was just a catching up letter.
Right.
And at the end, it just said "Old Fashioned Assassin." the name of my band if I had one. And
Wow. That's weird.
And we were all starting to play guitar and stuff, and I was like, we should name it Old Fashioned Assassin until further notice, you know,
right.
or until we think of something. And I mean, it's grammatically incorrect. I think it would be old fashioned.
Well, that's what makes it unique.
But yeah, I mean, the great thing about it is that it's very Google friendly.
Right.
If you want to find us online,
right.
you type in Old Fashioned Assassin, you find us. You know,
you're the only people that have it.
A lot of people have band names that are, you know, you need to type, you know, Nosferatu band afterwards, because you can't just Google Nosferatu and find, you know, anything but the vampire in the movie. Or
right behind that band, our name you look up, you find the Conan skits from fucking The Fashion Assassin.
Yeah.
So while you were pointing, so we've got a couple of posters in this area here. So who belongs to most of these posters here?
A lot of these are mine from high school, from those olden days.
So you got a definite sci-fi connection and a little bit of horror.
Yeah, big horror fan, big sci-fi. I love movies.
So give me a top few horror that.
We were just actually watching It, the new one that just came out when you walked up. And
right.
That's definitely a favorite, and I know it's scary and it's frightening, but you know it's good enough to where like you could watch that before you go to bed. And, you know, it's just a good movie, and we've seen it so many times where you can just pass out to it. Maybe that's sick to some people, but.
No, not at all. Well, what do you are you
definitely the Thing?
Right.
That's hands down one of my favorites.
the new Ash versus the Evil Dead TV series on Showtime. Those are amazing. Like,
is that a binge watchable?
Oh yeah. Like if you haven't watched them and you think that you're a fan of the Evil Dead trilogy or Army of Darkness, like you need to get on that as soon as possible.
And I think the episodes are like 30 minutes, so. Like, right? It's like 30... I think it's 30 minutes. I might be wrong. I'm sorry. I might be thinking about Gotham. I'm kind of fucking binging a couple of shows right now. But,
what else are you binging?
Gotham, and we just rewatched Dexter a little bit ago, and
What'd you think about... Did you see the whole season... the whole series of Dexter?
Yeah.
What'd you think of the ending?
It sucked.
Yeah.
It was... Go ahead.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
No, sir, I didn't like it.
No, sir.
I don't think anybody really liked it for that most part, and I think everybody wanted more Dexter. Rumor had it that, you know...
Did you think it left it a little open?
Totally.
Just in case?
And I think, you know, maybe...
So they could bring it back.
Yeah, I think that maybe won't be the last we see of
Dexter Jr.
You know,
or something.
But, you know, there's a lot of great fucking shows out there, and, you know...
The X-Files is coming back.
X-Files coming back.
Oh.
It's been back.
It shows how much I watch.
For some reason, every time X-Files comes up, I always remember that one episode where there's that fucking alien monster thing that lives in the porta potties and snatches people up. Just like the first thing that comes to your
worst
mind when you
fear.
hear X-Files. It's just like... But... yeah, there's a lot of great shows out there.
Do you go with horror? Do you go with gore at all?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the Hostel series? Or
I think the you know the realness is fucking terrifying.
Right.
You know, like it isn't really so real, but it makes you jump. You know, and you're like, oh fuck, dude, Jesus Christ, this is over the top. You know, and you're comparing it to the book the whole time. But you know. One of the classics is like the Strangers, you know. So a little couple goes out for a honeymoon that went sour, and they're still staying out in this cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Was that the one where the people came to the door? Yeah.
And they're banging on the doors, and
that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did you see? Wait, what was the line that they said? Something like, what is it? It gets easier every time, or something.
Yeah,
like that?
it's just being fucking weird. And ominous. You know, it's just that's terrifying. That could happen to you anywhere at any time. Like. And, you know, The Purge and stuff like that. I mean, it's just the fear of... I think my biggest fear ultimately would be, you know, like you're just taking a shower.
Right.
And you hear something and somebody busts in the bathroom to fucking kill you. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? You're naked and slippery.
Yep.
And, like,
And you got no choice.
yeah, I mean, what do you think? What's your biggest?
What's my biggest fear?
Yeah.
They're having a side conversation.
Irrational fear or real?
Well, like I said, being
don't
naked
say-
in the bathroom while somebody comes in to kill you. So that's pretty terrifying.
Or you have like, okay, like I'll give you one. Like, I have this fear every once in a while. My girlfriend will pick at my nails, and I have this irrational fear that she's going to pick too hard and they're going to peel off. And I said, don't do it, don't do it. And she never does it hard enough, but it's just enough to where I'm like, I feel that it's gonna come off. Just stop it. I'm serious. It's gonna come off. And it's such an irrational, stupid fear, but I want my nails.
I don't. Do you have one?
What I was just saying to you is, growing up, being force-fed horror movies, like, I've seen It, the original It with Tim Curry, a million times in every single shower. And I just turned 30 like a few weeks ago. I get in the shower and I assume there's a clown that's going to come out from the drain and he's going to get me for at least a few seconds. So that's my irrational fear.
I had an irrational fear that aliens were real the other day when I saw that rocket shoot across the sky.
What? I didn't, dude. I saw your posts on social, and
I mean, a lot of people talk crap because, you know, they're like, oh, it was just a rocket, guys. But, like,
So
when
they
you're
say.
driving down the street and you don't realize,
it
like,
looked like it was out of a sci-fi
my
movie.
heart sank. Like, I thought there was a light
Like something's
bright
gonna,
enough to shine across the entire sky.
like something's going to open up, like in what was it, District 9,
Yeah.
It was like,
and it's just
I
going to
thought-
stay over the city.
I
and,
thought the sky was literally like getting a hole torn in it or something. It was unreal.
Some War of the Worlds shit.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. And
opening to another dimension. I swear, I remember, what was that, Saturday? Was it Saturday
I
night?
think so. It was very recently, the past few days
It
ago.
was a couple days ago.
I never stood out front of the Target so long. Actually, no. When I was trying to get that Super Nintendo, I waited out there since like 4 a.m.
Well, have you all been in the state? We're in Arizona, by the way. Have you been in this state your whole lives?
Sadly, yes.
on and off.
Because I was at a show, and there was a band called Oceano, and lead singer got up and he says, "Does anybody know what the Phoenix Lights are?" And a couple people raised their hands, and he says, "Who doesn't know?" And other people raised their hands. He says, "Everybody that doesn't know, talk to those people that does know. This is about the Phoenix Lights," and blah blah blah. Yeah. So, do you know? Did you get to see those?
I did not get to see them. I think that's before. I'm originally from Tennessee,
Right.
so I moved here when I was like 8 or 9 years old. But Phoenix is my home.
Yeah, we accept you.
Yeah, this is. I don't try to act like I'm some.
So you're from what part of Tennessee?
It was a small town, Jolton.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking this, I don't know. Do you have an influence from being there? Like a music influence?
Luckily, no. I think if I had stayed, I mean,
Not welcome in Tennessee anymore.
my memories of
We'll
music
pass over that state as we're touring.
was like, I think I really liked Billy Ray Cyrus and stuff as a child.
Oh, good for you.
And yeah,
Now, the reason I ask is because I've heard you guys warm up a bunch. And I'm not going to lie, I hear "Give Me 3 Steps."
Play fucking that every fucking time, dude.
it's my little warm-up noodle.
So we're in the holidays. Have you ever thought of doing a stoner like Doom cover of a holiday song?
No, but it sounds like a good idea.
I love Christmas music, so I'm completely open to that.
What would be a song?
Ooh, Christmas is coming.
Christmas.
It's on the
coming.
Charlie Brown Christmas album,
Is that
which is a highly regarded jazz album.
Is that where they have the high, Christmas time?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's like track 6, and it's like just I don't want to spoil it. Just check it out.
That'd actually be a good idea.
Derek, you have one?
I'm gonna go with Kyle and say that I think that that's a great idea.
Right.
I don't think anything we do will ever be better than fucking Carol of the Bells by the
Trans-Siberian?
Trans-Siberian, yeah.
Well, so take Santa Claus is Coming to Town and put like the beginning couple minutes of Dope Smoker. So he knows, but it doesn't have to be cheery. It could be ominous. He knows when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. So maybe that could turn into something.
All right.
Just saying.
Well, it's getting the gears turned in. But, yeah, I mean, I think Sanitation Squad's got that Christmas song in the lockdown.
Oh, yeah. Sanitation Squad.
Really?
They wrote a Christmas song. I think it came out 2 years ago. There's a music video for it.
Did they play it recently?
I think it's about Santa getting really stressed out.
No, it's Santa getting drunk and murdering people. It's pretty straightforward.
Oh, yeah.
For all the people that weren't good.
Precisely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, check it out. It's on YouTube.
So, is the future for you guys to make a full career out of your music?
I just want to. I enjoy the ride. Like, I'm not trying to get to where I see myself in 10 years and have a frustrated journey along the way.
Right.
I enjoy every step of the way and all the accomplishments that come as they come.
So if you had an ungodly amount of money, all the money that you could possibly ever need, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be doing the Lemmy, having fucking not really that elaborate of a place, somewhere that I like, and living it up and just being me still, I mean, the less you have to pay for, the more you get to have.
Right.
More.
More money, less problem.
That's a heavy question. I don't know if I can give a straight answer on that. Besides, I'd probably disappear for like 6 months.
I mean, yeah, you would, if we came a bunch of money, buy a van, you do a little, do the tour and not have to worry about.
Yeah, as far as the band goes.
I don't think I'd be smashing TVs and stuff. I'd probably just actually get a hotel room instead of sleeping in somebody else's house that we asked if it was okay if we
asked to crash for the night.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned Lemmy, how much of his playing was an influence on you?
Definitely tone-wise, hugely. And, just vocally and persona as well. I mean, there's a couple years that we did the Halloween punk rock show at fucking the Yucca that became a yearly thing. And, one time we did it with Derek and we were Black Sabbath, and it was okay. It was fun.
Right.
And then...
It was
It
amazing.
was amazing.
And anyway, and then we ended up doing a Motorhead set, and did all the fucking the wonders, the hits, and
I'm sure you play Ace of Spades.
Yeah,
Iron Fist,
Ace of Spades, Iron Fist.
Today's the day that he
Overkill
passed away.
Yeah, anniversary as well. And that's the you were talking about tattoos earlier, and I have this one right here, and it was basically just the exact same thing, that Lemmy had on his left arm.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Born to Lose, Live to Win tattoo, and it was literally like 2 days after, and super spontaneous. And I mean, after playing those Halloween shows and getting just fully engulfed in Motorhead. I mean, I always respected the fella, but I really learned to appreciate Motorhead and the feel and everything that went into that band as far as where they ended up being until the day that Lemmy passed away.
Did you follow his work previous to Motorhead, Hawkwind?
With Hawkwind,
Yeah.
not too heavy. I mean, I heard some of the bigger tracks and stuff.
It's almost kind of what you see in some of the stoner shows now.
Yeah.
So
and I'm like, keep waiting to see if like they're just gonna hop on fucking Psycho one year, because Psycho's been pulling out those like big fucking older bands that kind of just disappeared for a little bit, like
right.
Blue Oyster Cult on that first one. Like,
yeah.
Who saw that coming? Really, and but yeah,
and people went nuts for it.
Yeah, totally.
The same with King Diamond. I mean,
Yeah.
I would never expect King Diamond to be at that kind of event, and then there he is, and everybody was so like jacked to see him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah.
So, in regards to new music, what are you guys listening to right now?
What you got?
That sparks your interest.
I know Mothership. I paid attention to a lot this year.
High Strangeness.
Yeah, we got to play with them when they came through on that album
Twice this year.
Twice. Yeah, you played with them at Yucca, and then you played with them at the at Club Red,
which would have been the first show you saw.
That new Elder record came out this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always listening to something weird. This band called the Budos Band, which played Psychofest the first year that I didn't get to go to.
Can you spell it?
Budos.
Okay.
Budos.
What's their style?
They're like an Afrobeat type of thing, and they're an instrumental. They're like a 10 or 11 piece,
right?
Big band, like horn section and all, and it just sounds like theme music to like a cop movie from the 70s.
Really?
Like, it's grooving. Like, you can't hate it. If you hate it, I don't want to know them.
We'll have to check that out.
But
the new Mastodon record came out this year.
Right.
That was great.
The Riff Beast.
Even though I don't know if it's cool to like Mastodon anymore. I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. There's a lot of that. Like, people...
Fuck them.
Like, I feel this... Yeah, it's frustrating in a way. Like
okay, so, all right. So let me put it to you this way. So you're not sure whether you're going to get hate or not on like Mastodon. What are some like maybe guilty pleasure songs? I hate using that term because music is just music. Was there anything that you guys listen to that's not in your genre that, it just seems a little off?
Tons.
This guy, yeah, that's not really.
Oh, I got some secrets about this.
What you
music taste?
Kyle, you go first. So.
Oh no.
I love Coheed and Cambria.
Right.
And that's just not something that a lot of people can relate to with me. But
I find it hard sometimes, like and it goes across all genres. It doesn't matter whether it's a death metal, black metal genre. It doesn't matter whether it's stoner or whatever you would consider Coheed and Cambria. Sometimes, and I'll admit, even when I first heard Pantera, it took me a while to get used to the voice. I was used to less of whatever Phil does.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then when you get used to it, you're like, oh, this is the way it should be. And then you go to the next level and the next level. That high-pitched voice is a little hard to...
I listen to Neil Young a lot. Neil Young's one of my favorite artists. It's weird because my wife thinks, he sounds like a high-pitched cat, when he sings.
Like he's whiny?
Yeah, and
But he's still got it.
Coheed the same way, high-pitched, and I don't know, maybe
are you a
lot of Kiss?
I'll get to that. You're a big Neil Young fan?
Huge, yeah.
Okay, Arc, yes or no?
What is
the release Arc that he did, and he did Weld?
Newer?
No, this is from years ago. Do you remember that? Have you heard that?
Oh, it's got like a red stripe on it, right?
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to remember now. I just remember that was it was weird. I didn't know Neil Young when I was younger, and then that was like my introduction.
Is that more of his like 80s years?
Yeah. It wasn't that wandering where he did that doo-wop.
Yeah. Oh,
stuff or whatever.
And it was that was on Geffen Records.
Yeah,
so you got like
gives me
Geffen,
chills.
like, sued him over.
Yeah, because
for giving him a record that was unlike Neil Young's.
Unbelievable. But, I mean, he's put out some incredible material. And just hearing that guitar work on those albums, I was like, I got to see the rest of the catalog.
Dude,
I got to...
I went to that festival that they had out in Coachella. It was like 2 years back. It was the Desert West or something like that. But anyway, it had Neil Young,
right.
Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, The Who, Bob Dylan, and Roger Waters, who did a fucking amazing Just Pink Floyd set.
Right.
But Neil Young was definitely top act that I saw that night, and probably, I mean, maybe I haven't seen as many shows as somebody, but I've seen a shitload of shows. You know,
sure.
And, you know, it's Sabbath and Maiden and all. Pretty much any band I wanted to see, I fucking did whatever I had to do to go see them.
Right.
And Neil Young was one of the best shows I've ever seen. He played with, you know, what the fuck are they called? His
Crazy Horse?
Huh?
You talking?
Not Crazy Horse. It was the other lineup that he has that plays with him. But the guitar player, man, he's just fucking incredible. And
right.
They were just doing 13-minute jams and just his voice. Like I said, he still got it. Like he was on point. He's 70 fucking 4.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And just killing it on stage and making shitloads of money. But dude, like,
but still bringing it.
Still. And it was just crazy that, you know, and he was better than The Who. He was better than the Stones. I mean, this is all in my eyes, you know.
Yeah.
I respected everything that was on that stage in
right.
those 2 nights. And like I said, that Roger Waters doing that Pink Floyd set was incredible. And that was when Trump was running. He wasn't president yet.
Yeah.
You know, and he was doing his whole thing. That's like controversy now, but that was the first time he did it was at that festival.
Right.
And he had that pig out there and it had all Trump this, Trump that on there. And fucking, it was just incredible. It was an incredible couple of days. But Neil Young, like I said, definitely takes the cake on that. It's just a great artist.
What do you think of your guilty pleasure?
Besides the Charlie Brown Christmas songs?
Oh, that will never be. That is not a guilty pleasure. No, I really, I'm not really shamed by any of the music I like. Beach Boys is probably like the weirdest off the cuff one that I listen to.
Like Pet
the
Sounds?
Most.
Or
I like Pet Sounds, but I also like their old surfing fun teen crap music.
Right.
Like just for like I mean, say what you will about them blatantly ripping off quite a few blues musicians back in the day, but just like from like a vocal perspective, that is
like the harmonies and such.
Oh, absolutely! Like those, and like when Glenn Campbell was running around with them for a minute, who sings on Pet Sounds. It's just.
Do you think that you could bring any of those Beach Boys elements to what you play?
No.
Maybe if we did some vocal harmonies or something. Started doing some backup vocal harmonies.
Yeah, because I know, Mike, you do the majority of the vocals, if not all the vocals, right?
Right.
Okay. Are you gonna have these guys take their?
I would love to, but I mean, if they sound like the Beach Boys, I'm probably the last guy you should be asking. I hate the Beach Boys. I'm not about it.
I think one of the cool things is like no one in this band tells anyone else what to do. Really, like
right.
we all give each other the freedom to like.
Mike gives no good vibrations, is what we're saying here.
I mean, Kyle's turned on some Beach Boys songs like a couple, and you know, it's just the fun in the sun.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm not about it, dude. I'm sorry.
Well, that's the thing, you know. It's like I saw Black Pussy a couple of weeks ago, and I guess I would consider them in the stoner vein, but almost like psychedelic and definitely totally 70s if you haven't seen them yet. And if you watch them on stage, they're they look like the happiest band I've ever seen.
Their drummer's face the entire
the whole
show.
time. The whole time. Like he's got Botox. He's Botoxed into happiness.
Yeah. They're the psychedelic rock thing is really cool. I like that.
Any bands in particular?
Whoa, they just came out with a band with an album. It was Rust. Is that Monolord?
Yeah, Monolord. Yeah.
Fucking A, dude. Album's awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember when we played with was that Black Pussy? Yeah, it was Black Pussy. And I was talking to the singer, the guitar player outside, and I was just telling him, you know, like how I just like kind of got into him, and I was telling him about their one of their earlier albums that I was just vibing on, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, man, but you know, we're trying to move away from that." And I was like, no. But yeah, I like the psych rock thing, but I think maybe like guilty pleasure. Kyle turned me on to Streetlight Manifesto. I mean, that's pretty badass ska punk rock fucking band, just killing it. I've seen them live numerous times, and it's an incredible fucking show, and they're an incredible fucking band.
And I feel terrible in saying guilty pleasure because you like what you like.
Yeah, it's not really guilty. It's just not I guess what.
And if you're trying to like what somebody else wants you to like, I mean,
what has there been a concert that you've gone to, and as soon as you got at the concert, that you just like, oh, I really don't belong here?
Yeah. The last time I went to see Bad Religion, but they're still one of my favorite bands. So I mean, I push those little kids out of the way and go have my fun. Like,
what did you feel that they were playing to too many teens or something? Or?
Oh yeah, there was. That was probably like the longest gap I've had in seeing them. So maybe
right.
I felt like I was old, even though I was only like 28 at the time. But yeah, I mean, not the feeling of. Well, I mean, there was no line at the bar,
and you're the only one that could drink
the whole night. But no, there wasn't the feeling of like, you know, this old dude here. But
right.
I definitely felt I was taller than everybody there, which is weird because I'm only like 5'10". So,
to be young again.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the subject of some music here. What was the first song that you learned to play?
I feel like it was Iron Man. Like, song all the way through was Iron Man. Like, I had learned like a little like Nirvana lick here, or, you know, Crazy Train, but like from start to finish, I was like, holy crap, I can play this entire song.
Was that the first lick that you learned too, or was there something else that you learned first?
I think, I mean...
Because I know everybody talks about, smoke on the water. And,
my sister tried to play guitar first, and she got the guitar. I tried to play drums and sucked at it. So then when I wanted to play guitar, my parents were like, you didn't even try at drums.
Right.
It's like, no, I just wasn't. But so my sister got a guitar, spent, 3 days trying to learn how to play Yankee Doodle, and then showed me, and I played it right back to her. And so I guess that was like that. The first thing I ever played. But.
Right. Mike, what was the first song you learned how to play?
Some stupid shit like that, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the fucking Stratocaster or something.
Did you all learn
that version of some System of a Down or Korn song?
So fucking proud of it, though. Like, it's just garbage.
Did you all learn like through going music theory, or was it just...
No, guitar tabs on the internet, downloading songs off Kazaa and listening to whatever we wanted. And
right.
Determined fucking nations, man. Yeah.
So if you could name a book, an album, or a movie that should be in school curriculums, what would you choose? I've gotten some weird answers before. Like I'll give you somebody. If you listen to the previous podcast, some people said Master of Reality needs to be in school curriculums. Some people said Anthrax, Among the Living, and Stormtroopers of Death, SOD. Yeah. So there's no boundaries on this.
I don't know. I don't read a whole lot of books. That was actually one of my New Year's resolutions from last year, was to read a couple more books, and I read The Shining and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I don't know, I guess kids should read those.
Did you finish Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
Where did the Indian go? Where'd he go off to?
I don't. It doesn't say, right?
It doesn't. That's where that's the big question is like, where did he go?
Oh, like you're gonna get the answer if you read the book, and there's no answer there either.
It's just kind of like an inference. Like he might go here, he might go there, he might just go on a, who knows?
Yeah.
He might go on a corner and have a little sign. Will work for cuckoos or something.
But yeah, I don't know. The Shining was cool. I don't know. I think kids should read it, maybe, or I want kids to read it. Sometimes you just want to like show people things that are gonna make them cringe or something. Or
does it ever bother you when you have a song that you hear that you absolutely love, and you're like, "This is the best. The riffs are huge. The drums are big. The bass is heavy." And you give it to somebody, say, "Here, just listen to this." And 5 seconds in, they're fucking talking.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that frustrating?
Just like when you're like trying to show somebody a show or a movie, and you're like, dude, like you gotta watch this.
You gotta focus.
You're just like, you're so passionate about it because you saw how great it was, and you just want to fucking share that, you know?
Right.
I remember my sister tried to show me something, and like I put the CD in, and it was in a computer at the time, and like it wasn't loading.
Right.
So it was like skipping.
Right.
Through the song, and she thought I was fast forwarding through the song, so she like came back in the room and like ripped it out of the computer and like was all mad like that. She thought I was just like, yeah, let's get through this, you know. I was like, no, I was trying to listen to it. The computer was lagging. And
what was it? Charlie Brown Christmas.
Honestly, it was so long ago.
Probably Beach Boys or something.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate having you here. I do have a quick question. It's the one I ask all bands. It's, what question do you have that I can bring to the next interview?
Which one? Because I listened to your podcast. And
all three. You can give me a question.
Well, we kind of like previously discussed because I knew this was going to come up.
Okay.
So I
the
think
one you said just a few minutes ago. What was that? We both looked at at each other.
What's an irrational fear?
Oh yeah,
what is your irrational fear?
What is your most ridiculous irrational fear?
Okay, that sounds awesome. Now, how can we get a hold of you on social media?
We are on Instagram. We have Instagram. We have the Facebook. When this EP launches in the next few months, we'll be on Bandcamp.
Awesome.
Catch us at a show.
At
least one of us is usually hanging
out somewhere. Phoenix and Tempe and Mesa is our home, and we're going to be, getting on all the best rock and roll shows in town.
Destroying a city near you.
And coming for Tucson next, we really want to start spreading, to other cities. And
where are you thinking of going in Tucson?
I know that I've played the Rock in Tucson a lot, and hopefully, they'll have us someday. And
is the Flycatcher in Tucson?
Flycatcher is a great.
And Surly Wench is out.
Surly Wench is an amazing venue.
And then, have you guys ever been up to Flagstaff?
Yeah, I've been.
Flagstaff has the green room.
The green room, yeah.
Are you thinking of going up there?
If there was something that, we could go play, and we would love to.
Since we're not touring right now, we want to fucking tour. We're just trying to find the means for it. But if we want to play some fucking shows out of town, we need to dominate Arizona first,
right? That's it, and then spread out to the rest of the country. Well, guys, I want to thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing a lot of big things from you guys in 2018.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, guys. All right, we are in the home stretch right now. I want to thank everybody for staying with me. Just a few quick things. First off, Black Pussy is out on tour. They're going east to west coast, mostly in the south. Check them out and check out what all the controversy's about, what the big deal is about. And if you want to hear more, they're going to be on the podcast in just a few short weeks. So look out for that. It's a great interview. You get to hear a lot about them. And maybe we'll even throw in some music while we're there. Also, last year, there was a band called Stake, and they released an album called No God to Save. It's on Ripple Music. Check them out. If you like stonery doom, and thick, heavy music, you'll definitely like this one. As a matter of fact, why don't we just take a little time right now and play a song off that? This is Overthrow. And now, to lead us into next week, here are a few stoner quotes.
I need to get stoned.
I enjoy marijuana more than most things on earth.
Well, there's a quote that Dio told to Dave Mustaine one time, and it was, well, we can jerk each other off all day, or we can smoke this joint.